Hey everybody, we're about to get underway, so a couple of housekeeping tips and rules. The first thing is click the bottom icon at the bottom of your screen. There's a chat icon, and in the chat icon you can click in there and have a conversation about whatever's going on. We're just waiting for the last few people. We want to start on time. And of course, you know what us event people are like. We're never good at starting on time, are we? So, oh my word. Okay, so it's very nice to have a little over 700 people logging on from quite a few separate countries today. Clearly, partnerships are the things that we're looking forward to getting involved with. How's the chat room going, Belinda? I have my moderator here with me today, Belinda, who's in the chat room, ready to raise any questions that you might have. How's it looking?
Very quiet bunch.
A very quiet bunch. That's okay. So we're going to kick off bang on time. And I know we've got a few countries dialing in. I know that there's just a little over 700 people logging on and climbing, to say the least. 733, 734, 737. Oh my word, here everyone arrives, bang on time. Why can't we do this in real world? When we turn up to the workshops, we never start on time yet. Webinars, it seems to be perfect. All right, so it's 1 o'clock. We'll kick off, I think. So thank you, I think, for the first time coming in. And thank you for taking the time on a Friday afternoon to come to hear about what I'm doing with partnerships at the moment. My name's Julian Moore. For those that don't know me, I'm Australia's leading not-for-profit sponsorship specialist. And we have had so many requests about how we can help and what's going on in the partnership space. We've had specific questions I mean to answer. By the end of our only 45 minutes, I hope that you've had some new ideas that you can implement straight away to assist your current sponsors and new sponsors. So these are the things that I want to start going through. What's trending? Of course, at the moment, everything is changing. Every week, things are changing. Our government at the moment is meeting 3 times a week, which means at the end of each of those 3, we're getting hit with something new. What's the current best practice? What's working? What isn't? And then what to expect as the future comes along, what I'm including for my sponsors, because I understand a lot of people are struggling to what they can offer their current sponsors with no live events happening anymore. And I hear the term, what's the new normal? Well, we're going to cover that too. And of course, what next? Now, one thing to keep in mind, just as the chat starts kicking off and Belinda can answer, for those that you have questions that can't be answered, do join me afterwards, where it's going to be a link on the last slide. So join me at answers.net.au. And what that is a community chat room where we can all get together. I'm going to grab a beer afterwards and sit down and answer everyone's questions as long as it takes. Well, as long as the beer lasts. And I know Belinda has always got a good supply of that. So now, what can we expect? What's trending this week? First of all, it's not as bad as we expected. I know everyone is concerned with everything that's going on, and I am also concerned because now I've got some technical challenges, which I'm just sorting out. So first things first, it's not as bad as we expected. It's pretty bad, that's true, and it's only in the short term. What's trending this week is essentially more social restrictions. All the models, though, are showing us that the peak is arriving around Anzac Day for Australia. That's the 26th, 27th of this month. Now, keep in mind that sponsors are doing it as hard as we are. It's not just us that's having to readapt and rechange and re-gear everything we're doing. The sponsors are doing it too. So do phone your sponsors, do give them that group hug, contact all your current ones and say to them, we are here to assist you. Do not forget your sponsors and in turn, of course, your members. So right now, now's the time to plan. We're absolutely in planning mode because until that peak occurs, it's a challenge to actually put an offer together that you can actually see through. So now the time to plan is you've got about 2-3 weeks to get these plans into place on your offer, who to offer and what to offer. We're going to already see 3, 6 and 12-month recovery package. This week, I've had 3 recovery packages with 3 new sponsors who hadn't been involved with the ongoing association, and they're all going out. What can we do to assist? How can we be involved? And those types of involvements are genuine calls to action. So now the good news, prepare for a tsunami of sponsors who need assistance. Right now, we're in firm mode, assisting our members, helping our members. This is what associations are created for. We were created to come together as a community of like-minded individuals and help them deliver and make them more successful. Now's the time for associations to flex their muscles and get involved in our members' lives and make them more successful. In a few months or a few weeks, we're going to start seeing the same requirements for sponsors. They're just as same as our members are. They're going to need all the hand-holding they can get. I had one sponsor contact me today saying, well, how can we engage? What can we do? We have to start educating those sponsors now. So the best practice right now is, first off, the amount of people I've spoken to over this week. I'm sitting down, my phone is burning up. Do not refund all your sponsorship. First things first, 5 or 6 clients, 5 or 6 associations that we've spoken with have called me and gone, we've refunded all our sponsorship. And now what are we going to do for revenue? Sponsors need your assistance. What am I doing?
Didn't advance your slide.
It didn't advance my slide. There we are. How's that? So do not refund all your sponsorship and do not cancel all your events. And whatever happens, you're not changing the industry dynamics. What's happening is our deliverables are changing and we're adapting to a new environment. Maya still have to sell products. Cisco Systems, Bunnings, they all still have to sell products. Your biggest partner at the moment still needs you. Why would you cancel their involvement? It's a new way of involving them. Do not cancel your sponsorship. You need revenue. Right now, you need more revenue than you've ever needed before, because right now, you're more relevant to your members than ever before. So your resources are going up, your cost and your commitment is going up, and now if you're refunding all your sponsorship, your revenue is going down. Simply don't do that. Don't cancel all your events. Postpone them and re-evaluate what a new event is going to look like. We don't know when everyone's going to come back. We don't know when the new kind of normal is going to hit, or when the old normal is ever going to come, if it ever comes back. So right now, your events still are going to be events, but they're going to look different. And now when you've got negotiations, that partner that you were halfway through your negotiation, the sponsor that was deciding whether they were going to be involved or not, don't stop that negotiation. Right now, you've got the opportunity to prove your worth to these sponsors more than we've ever been able to do before. Right now, you can work with them. This can be a true co-collaboration between you and the sponsor, and that collaboration moving forwards to assist your members will be a very long-lasting relationship that you've both overcome these hurdles. Current negotiations are going to last forever. These sorts of challenges that are overcome together hold for a very long time. So make sure you contact all your current sponsors. Step one, contact every single sponsor, whether you think they know what you're doing because they've read your emails. No matter what, phone them. Now is not the time to leave your sponsors out in the cold. Make sure you understand new technologies, much like Zoom and much like Slack, much like Messenger. On all of these things, you're going to need to understand what those new technologies are. You're going to need to understand what new events are available to you, because these new events can really offer an enhanced experience. These new events are not a case of a backward step. They're going to be with us forever. They're going to become that new normal. It's just, how is that going to work for your association, for your members, and most importantly, how's it going to work for your new partners? Make sure you continue to incorporate new opportunities. Now's not the time to stagnate. If you currently stick with just your partners, they may not be here next week. If your partner was Qantas, if your partner was Virgin, if your partner was Maya, David Jones, all these people who have closed their doors for this space of time, some of them won't open them again. You can't afford to take a backward step when you're delivering more services and solutions to your members. You need new partners, and you need those partners to be involved for the right reasons. The great thing is they need you, because now you're doing more, now you're delivering more, now you're more relevant. It simply means that now you're more valuable to these partners who can't go and meet anyone anymore. Social restrictions have meant that when it comes to face-to-face meetings, they're not available, not only to us, but to the sponsors. So how do the sponsors get in front of their new clients? How do the sponsors work out how they're going to forecast new revenue? How do the sponsors manage, in some instances, this huge profitable exercise they've currently experienced? And how do they maintain that? They maintain all of this with you, with your association, and with your assistants. But if you don't call them, you can't visit them. If you don't email them, they can't visit you. How can they be involved? So do make sure you're always prospecting. So there's a few things to expect in the short term. The first thing is there is already a new etiquette appearing. Associations have always been collegial. They've always been very friendly. We're not in this to be millionaires. We're in this to make the world a better place. We're in this to assist our members to be more successful. And right now, your community, the association community, the industry of associations has a new etiquette emerging. It's very important you identify this. All the webinars, all the instruction sets, all the new technologies, all the new practices that are coming out are being offered for free. The very few associations that are charging, the very few organizations that are charging stand out like a rotten apple. Don't be that apple. Make sure you're part of your community. You can make money from these kind of webinars and these sorts of things at a later date. Now is not that date. Now it's a time for us to come together and make sure everyone's here at a later date and assist them to do these. The language is changing. It's when we're talking with sponsors right now, none of them are asking how many members you have. What they're asking right now is how many people can you communicate my message to? How many people can you get my message out to so they can be safe, so they can be more successful, so we can assist them? They're the type of questions that sponsors are asking right now, not how many members you can have. The conversations are just that. They're conversations, they're meaningful engagements with organizations that genuinely want to assist your members, your stakeholders, your community. And it's around creating that type of solution that will have them held aloft once this is all done. When you look at Apple, Apple stood down all their stores, all their staff, carried on paying them. That was a move designed to make sure everyone still loves Apple. They then went above and took millions and millions of face masks into the place they need them. When you look at Sony, Sony has developed a $100 million fund just for non-profits to deliver successful outcomes to education. These organizations are doing huge things. So when you're engaging with them for those things, you have to engage with them on the interest of your members. Yes, you're going to ask a large sum of money to assist them to do this, but in the end, it's about the value you can return. We're already seeing partnerships move away from the 5 and 3 year. Right now, for the same value that was originally a 1 year, we're now seeing that as a 6-month partnership. We're now doing partnerships for the short term. So now we have partners going, how can I be involved now? How can I be involved for the next 3 months? How can I be involved for the next 6 months? We're now getting partners coming through. It's no longer money. When they're not even quibbling. Negotiations on the value of a partnership right now are the most simple they've been for years. Right now, we're negotiating deliverables, speed of delivery, speed of turnaround. How quickly can you pivot your association into a meaningful way for your sponsor and your members? Have you just stuck your head in the sand and gone, no events, no this, no that, and what are you doing? Because in some cases, you're not doing anything. And that's not good enough. What on most cases, all the leading associations are doing things differently because that's where the value sits. That's why we're getting new sponsors through the door, and that's where they're getting the traction. Sponsors are now looking at very new measurables because, of course, everything is becoming electronic. What we're now seeing is panels sat for questions remotely around the world so they can come together to give a solution, and it's all done electronically. It's no longer a case of just saying we have this many delegates to our event. Where they're going to want to know how many delegates interacted. Of those, how many questions were asked? Who were they asked to? What was the length of time of viewing? What was the length of time of viewing the recording? There's so many more measurables now, but the great news is the software does it for us. So now we're not having to use analytics. It simply gets delivered to us. Make sure you offer that to the partners. When on the slide, it says, don't approach anyone until after the peak. That's only true for Australia. I'm very aware we've got America, the UK, Singapore, Malaysia, we've got New Zealand. All of these countries signed on at the moment. The peak is different for every country. And in Australia, the peak is planned for around the 26th, 27th. Now's the time to plan. The reason it's challenging to approach anyone before the peak is simply that things are changing so rapidly. So if we start talking about engagement solutions and we start talking about financial solutions, we start talking about any member solution, it may not be able to be delivered should the regulations that change again. So if there only are 2 or 3 weeks before this, get your planning. Identify who your sponsors are. We're going to go through that in a moment. identify what their biggest challenge is, and then identify what their best product for your members is. That way, when you approach them, we can approach them about creating a solution for your members. This means your members will have a big take-up of that product and service. It also means then that the sponsor will do better on the behalf of it and see a quicker spike of take-up. Sponsors are doing it tough, so let's assist both parties. So longer term, post the restrictions, what are we going to see? Already we're seeing it. I've called so many corporates and so many convention centers and so many organizations this week ready to tell you all this information. And one of the biggest things we're seeing, that large events are simply going to get bigger. Because what's happening is there's mergers, there's alliances, there's consolidation happening between organizations, and some organizations that have been smashed and some organizations that have simply done extraordinarily well. And they are running these uniform kind of events, they're pushing them together. We're going to see large events simply get bigger. Now, on that side of things, we're going to see hybridization. Can you tell Belinda wrote that word? I can barely pronounce it, let alone spell it. These hybridizations of events are essentially that. There will be face-to-face environments and exhibitions and symposiums. But then on top of this, there will be roving cameras so that the online community can experience the same event in the same manner. There will be online questions coming in for panelists, online video questions coming in. There will be a complete merger of these. If you don't understand these, speak with some of the best in the business. Speak with someone like MCI here in Australia, because they've been doing this for a while and we've all looked at them and gone, should we? Shouldn't? You should. Right now, hybridization is going to stay with us. And it's wonderful because on the partnership side of things, you can have partners involved in, you could, for instance, have a live event partner, face-to-face partner. You could have the exhibition partner, an online partner, a interactive partner. There's so many more opportunities at the events that are coming up once our social restrictions have been removed. We're going to see a complete proliferation, another word that I'm struggling with, of online of all shapes and sizes. But the smaller events, more than likely, when it comes to board meetings, when it comes to strategic planning particularly, these things have improved. And because they've improved, they're probably going to stay online. What we're going to see now is sponsors looking for that bigger engagement, the bigger engagement with your community. There's simply no such thing as too much engagement or quality engagement for a sponsor. Right now, everyone's in hibernation. They've all gone, what do we do? How do we do it? Why are we doing it this way? And then next week it changes, and the week after it changes. Very quickly, people will adapt. Very quickly, that adaptation means that the new norms will arise, and very quickly, they're going to go, how do we recover all our losses from that period? We're going to absolutely see the time where we're going to change our hand-holding of members to hand-holding of sponsors. This simply means your contracts now are out of date and your organization will be at risk with an old contract. Include a pandemic clause in your contract, every last single one. Now, as we go through, what am I including and what should you be including into your sponsors offer right now? Assistance. It's assistance to your members, to your community, to overcome the coronavirus. Now, some organizations, such as IT and internet service providers and routers and desks and monitors and all these things that people need to work from home, they're having Christmas Day size sales every day right now. They're doing remarkably well. Their challenge is how can you assist them to keep that up? Others Of course, we're now seeing people like the Coles and Woolworths, and we're seeing people like Reflex Paper simply not having the chance to, how do you get hold of the community? How can you assist them? How can you put their message in front of your members in a way that you've never done before? So engagement means video, panels, not a video panel, but a panel questionnaire, augmented reality. It sounds crazy, but you know, some of the best augmented reality events are hosted by a company in WA. Virtual events, virtual coffee catch-ups, we've already adapted and we're already seeing new. So your virtual coffee catch-ups, who's funding this? Who's partnering it? Because coffee is still a major thing. On your town halls, who's doing this? What governance sector could be part of this? When you start looking at augmented reality, what gaming sector? Do you understand things like Nintendo? They've just released a new game that they expected to be a pretty average game. Right now, it's just gone to the billions of dollars of profitability because everyone's at home playing online games. There are always winners in these situations. Your job is to find out who they are and how they can assist your members. And on top of that, your community, because you are now a community. Your enhanced communications. Content has absolutely stepped up. Content for your e-newsletter used to be very text heavy. And right now you're up against so many things, from TikTok, from YouTube, from Zoom, from all these things. So content has really upped its game, and massively upped its game. I have never looked at so many videos in my life, but actually watched them all the way through. If you look at tourism that's been devastated, go to the Visit Portugal site right now, and Visit Portugal is telling you to stop. Don't visit us. Now's not the time for that. Stop. Their call to action is stop. But their funding is coming directly from the tourism minister to still attract people to Portugal afterwards. Tourism has always been amazing, will always be amazing. Right now, they're in the doldrums. How can you assist tourism? Do you host or plan to host events? Do you host or plan to host new hybrid organizational meetings? What can you do to assist them? Exclusivity hasn't gone away. Sponsors still want exclusivity, and that's good, because right now messaging has to be clear. We all know how bad some of the government messaging was at the beginning. Don't be that. Make sure your messaging is clear, concise. These are our new partners. This is what they're offering to our members and our community. This is how it will benefit you. You cannot say that about multiple organizations doing the same thing. Every bank right now has access to hundreds of billions of dollars to lend businesses, and they're all coming out at the same rate doing the same thing. Pick one, just one, and promote that. You have to have an opinion at this time, and you have to find out all the due diligence behind it and choose the best one for your members. So who's currently sponsoring and who isn't? This is, wow, did this slide take me some time to put together? Because essentially it's 3 months max. When you look at who has been impacted, people like cinemas, people like convention centers, people like car companies, and the fashion and the electronic and that side of things, they're going to come back with a vengeance. But right now, it's a waste of time for you to go to them. Right now, they're completely head down, bum up, trying to get their own challenges resolved, and you're not someone who can assist them. Do not bother contacting people who have closed their doors currently. Go to the people who are doing it better. Go to the people that want to be seen to continue to assist. So go to your electronics, go to your delivery companies, go to your fast food. For the first time, you won't be judged for going to a fast food, unless your diabetes or obesity side of things. But on that side of things, right now, you could have a very short-term partnership with someone you would never have normally considered. Have a look at the games industry. People like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are booming. Right now, the boom is exceptional. And that's why people like Sony have $100 billion fund, or $100 million, not billion, that's a government, but $100 million fund to actually get education out there. And that's in the creative arts. It's in video production. It's in school children. It's in further education. They haven't narrowed their focus. They simply want to help you overcome your remote challenges. Pharmaceuticals, well, come on. They're investing billions, they're delivering medical devices, services, they're getting out there, developing vaccines, they're being seen to be the good people for the first time in a long time. And now they want to capitalize on that. Roche, Bauer, we're seeing all these different organizations now dig their heels in, want to get behind the GPs, want to get behind the people at home. The complementary health companies, your Blackmores, your Swiss, those Nature's Way, they're already out there on social media going, how can we help? So if you're thinking they won't partner with you, it's because you haven't spoken with them. Get in front of them, tell them what you can assist them with, tell them how their products will assist your members, and tell them what you can do to help them make your members' lives better. Google, Adobe already have got their products online for you to approach. When you start looking at Kmart, Bunnings, they're having a Christmas Day value of turnover for the last 10 days. Get in front of this, get contacting them, get them to understand how you can make a difference to however many individuals, however many organizations you represent. So what is the new normal? So many times I've heard this new normal as coined phrase, and no one really tells you what they mean. Because I don't believe they truly understand. They've just gone, oh, things have changed, so it's a new normal. No, things are changing. There is no change right now. It's just a constant. So when we're seeing a new normal, we're not there yet. The new normal will establish itself once all the restrictions are lifted. Until then, we're adapting. And right now, the adaptation is seeing that almost everyone that we're engaging with, even where new proposals have gone out and we've never spoken with them before and we need to touch base and we need to get them involved, telephones, almost redundant. The contact thing is now often direct messaging. It's now messenger services. It's things like email. It's because if you imagine, if my phone call or my phone is now on a desk in an office building, it's empty. I'm working remotely. Very few have the capacity to forward to thousands of employees. So what we're now seeing is email, messenger services, Zoom. We're seeing all kinds. In fact, I was chatting last night at 10 p.m. with the Australian and Southern Hemisphere head of Niantic simply through Slacker. And that's their new communication structures. Learn how to use these new technologies because they're very, very clear, precise communication channels at the moment. Very few, all the companies are on them, very few of us. Jump on, be an early adopter. Request a meeting via Zoom, not a webinar and these types of things. Request a meeting via FaceTime if it's a one-on-one. But it now is the norm to see people. Remember That's what we're programmed for. People don't just want phone calls. We can't read the other's reactions. We have the ability to do this mobile. We don't have to be in Belinda's office doing all these things. We can do this from our phones. We can meet them at any point. We're all at home. They're all at home. Let's have a conversation. The new norms are not established, but we are seeing changes in even work attire. Everything's more relaxed. Take advantage of this. Make everyone feel comfortable in that one-on-one meeting, in that one-to-many meeting. You notice there's no ties, they're long gone. Your behavior now has to moderate, because now we're seeing things like the barriers of communications. There's no face-to-face, and there's no going to meet someone and sitting there waiting reception for them to come and get you, and there's no phone calls. So don't allow those barriers, overcome those, embrace those communication channels. Make sure you're on Microsoft Teams, make sure you're on Zoom, make sure you're on Messenger, make sure you're on Slack. These are the new ways of approaching partners now. And go to the source. Newspapers deliver you information that's 2 days old. You need to be a clearer message than this. Newspapers are reporting with a single viewpoint, and that viewpoint, for whatever reason, is being managed. So what we want to be able to do is go straight to the people, the partners, social media, read what they're doing from them, read what message they're trying to get out, absorb what their message is saying, and work out whether that makes your members better off. And then, will your members take it up? And if they do, how can you contact these sponsors to let them know how you can assist them to get that new product, that new message in front of your organization's contacts? Now, that's where the new technologies come in, because people are going to be expecting you to do that new deliverable. So what's next? Well, quite honestly, there is absolutely no way you can send your old proposals out. It's dead. Understand it, chuck it in the shredder, and have a drink to commiserate it. You need a whole new offer. And that offer has to be about the sponsor, and it has to address coronavirus. It has to actually directly address the challenges the sponsor's facing, and then how you can overcome them. If you don't mention the current crisis, you will not get anywhere. They'll think it's an old proposal, and they're not interested in anything else right now other than their recovery and how you can assist them and how that assistance can help your community. When you start looking at its future, start explaining, start educating these sponsors or these new sponsors on what the future looks like for your members' industries. Make sure it's measurable. Everything can be measured now. There is no way that you can have a partnership without measurability anymore. It's no good just having an exhibition. It's no good just having a comm structure. It's no good having an engagement strategy. It's no good having a call to arms unless it's measured. Because right now, everything's measurable, bar none. How many emails, how many click-throughs, how many rates, how long did they read it for, what videos, what networks, what social media are you using, what video networks, what streaming technology, how long are they getting on, likes and views. It's come on, you need so many more measurables than this. Return on investments now are becoming weekly and monthly, because it's simply giving them access to see the stats for themselves. If you're doing a 3-month partnership and you've got a single reporting time, forget about it. It's now, I sounded almost New York there. It's now time, for an Englishman in Australia, of course. It's now time to start collaborating with sponsors and doing that co-created solutions. Stressed to every sponsor that the thing they wanted most in the world, that engagement, is improved massively. engagement now is higher than it's ever been before because we know where our members are. They're at home in most cases, and if they're not at home and they're still at work, it means that now they're more connected than before because they're now essential workers, and everyone now knows what essential workers is. So what we have to do is talk about how that engagement has improved, how your communication strategies have improved, how your communication levels have improved, and it's all through engagement of partners, getting them in front of your community. So with that in mind, we now have our last 5 minutes going into questions. And I know we've got a beautiful moderator, and some of you may know her, it's Belinda. So what we're doing is slightly different. With only 45 minutes, it really brings along some challenges to go into detail. So that detail is, we've done something, we've created an online community. And that online community is at www.answers.net.au. When you go to answers.net.au, you then just register for free and then hit the sponsorship help group. And in that help group, I'll be there, and I'm going to grab a drink and then sit down for the rest of the afternoon and evening, and I'm happy to answer everyone's question, share resources, share templates, share contacts, whatever it may be. I do appreciate that webinars have their limitation, and it's all about actually that two-way flow of information. So go to answers.net.au. Anyone who hasn't seen us before, particularly from around the world, have a look at smsonline.net.au. smsonline.net.au is actually the company I'm employed by to manage the sponsorship consultancy that we do. So if anyone has any questions on how I can assist them, jump on there, check out the free resources and get in touch. Have we got any questions?
No, there's been lots of comments about things like Zoom bombing, which I'd never heard of before.
Zoom bombing is actually one of my favorite things at the moment. If anyone's not seen Zoom bombing, do jump onto YouTube or Twitch. And on Twitch and YouTube, you can simply type in Zoom bombing, and that will alleviate your stress very, very quickly.
So we've got a question from Sonia, who says, are you suggesting to offer support now for free and then after the peak to hit them up for the money?
No, no. So Sonia, thank you for your question. What we do is the things like your members and your the people you represent, your stakeholders, your community, your webinars, your things for those, they should be free right now. But what you do for partners is you tell them how you can engage them in that coordinated action, in the engagement, in the newsletters, in your research, in your solutions pack, in your recovery pack, all the things you're pulling together for members, and you charge them for that inclusion. Because it doesn't matter where we get to, the simple fact of the matter is that any partner that your members want to hear from and get involved with will be financially better off. And for you to offer that success to them right now is invaluable. So always charge the sponsors to be involved. And the thing to really nail down is, what benefit do they offer your members?
Question, will we be providing a recording of the webinar?
Yes, a recording of the webinar will be provided. What happens is, once this is stopped, it goes into some sort of cloud saving sequence, and once we've taken off the top and the bottom, it will go up sometime next week for you to watch and re-watch anytime you like.
And yep.
So that brings us to a neat conclusion. For anyone who's looking for those extra resources, or anyone who hasn't been able to actually ask the questions they want to ask, particularly on who's sponsoring right now, and what do they want, that type of thing, go to answers.net.au, and as soon as I've nipped downstairs, gone to the fridge, grabbed a cold beer, I'll be on there and I'll be happy to chat for a time going forward. Thank you so much for spending your Friday afternoon with me. I can't begin to say how appreciative I am of this. I do know everyone's doing some challenges and some people are seriously doing it tough now. Anyone who's really struggling, get in contact. Whatever you need is yours. And then everyone else, jump on to answers.net.au and I'll speak to you very soon. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Take care. This is where the fun part comes in from me trying to work out how to stop this.